It is getting awfully tiresome to hear how failures, abuses, and injustices are actually totally normal, and you're just the weird one for noticing. Case in point, in Minneapolis, it's actually very typical that a guy who toured the city keying Teslas to a damage total over $20,000 is getting his charges deferred. You just haven't noticed how common and effective this supposed law enforcement for supposed low-level property crime actually is. And never mind the guy's political connections and employment with the party that generally controls the state's government. More on that in a moment. But as part of the emerging national pastime of vandalizing uninvolved people's cars to prove some sort of point to Elon Musk, throughout the spring, the same guy was seen on video from at least 4 Tesla vehicles parked in and around the downtown Minneapolis area, deploying a key to the car bodies to express his outrage. He's now known to have vandalized at least 6 cars in total. On April 17th, police announced an arrest in the case, charges pending with the county attorney's office. Police said this case was fairly easy to investigate, given the clear video of the guy obtained from the cars.
These vehicles do have very high quality video, and it does makes my job easier.
Was it pretty easy to find the guy? Did you arrest him while he was walking his dog?
Was it easy to find the guy? Well, yeah. He works right in the next office over, actually. This was a state-on-state bust. The Vandal is identified as 33-year-old Dylan Adams. He's a data analyst for the State Department of Human Services. His job title is Financial Policy Compliance Lead. He's been working with the office since 2018. And I use present tense deliberately there. He is working for the state because he is. He's not fired, at least yet. The Department of Human Services says they're aware of the arrest and what were thought to be pending charges, but they're reviewing the matter since, of course, as a state agency, they hold themselves to the highest ethical standards. Speaking of his work for the state, though, it sounds like his Tesla vandalism itself was technically work for the state. Not just because Tim Walz loves it.
They've got that little stock app. I added Tesla to it to give me a little boost during the day. 225 and dropping.
But because the guy was very possibly on the state clock while doing the vandalizing, at least some of the time. One of the visible timestamps on the videos is Monday, March 24th at about 2 p.m. That's usually when a state employee would be very busy holding himself to the highest ethical standards at work. Now, if you do the math, over $20,000 in damage to 6 cars means an average of over $3,000 a car. Felony vandalism in Minnesota is damage over $1,000. So this guy's looking at what? 6 felony charges minimum? No, try 0 instead. At least 0 if this guy successfully completes a diversion program assigned by the prosecutor's office. See, this is where that totally normal part that you've just never heard of before comes in. No jail, no felony charges, just restitution, as in paying for those cars to get fixed. This wise and merciful plan was announced Monday by the historic first gay Hennepin County attorney, Mary Moriarty. She was a public defender for 30 years, and now she brings her decades' experience getting sweet deals for criminals to the prosecutor's office. Later in the week, Moriarty held a press conference to announce that gun locks will now be distributed for free at public libraries in Hennepin County. Surely Minneapolis gangbangers were first in line to pull the guns from their sweatpants waistbands and take advantage of this new opportunity for safer storage. But all anybody wanted to talk about was this diversion decision. A guy can just tour the city ruining people's cars and you'll seek no punishment other than the body shop bills? Well, first of all, she said, let's not overreact. It's not like anybody got shot. Really, you should be thinking of the children like I am, because after all, these are just low-level property crimes.
We're here to talk about gun violence and trying to prevent that. And so I think the puzzling thing about this is that is a low-level property crime. And so why aren't we talking about gun violence? Gun violence is the leading cause of death for children in this country. Why aren't we talking about gun deaths in the community, shootings in the community?
Yeah, nobody ever talks about gun violence. Who's ever heard Democrats talk about it? and claim they have simple, easy fixes and then implement them, but they do nothing other than steal citizens' rights and make the problem worse, and then they lie about it with bunk talking points like guns are the leading cause of children's deaths. They aren't. That's only true if you count 19-year-old gang members as children. Also, they can steal even more citizens' rights and then wonder why it didn't work yet again, and then start the cycle over. But yeah, other than that, nobody ever talks about gun violence. And who is diminishing what here? Yeah, vandalism isn't deadly inherently, but property rights are not to be dismissed as unimportant either. They are a foundation of a free society. Even if you still have your life, you may not have much of a life worth living if anybody can steal or destroy your stuff and get away with it. Oh, but it's not getting away with it, she says. Restitution is justice here. It restores the property of the victims and it holds the criminal accountable.
What we really wanted was for the victims in that case to get restitution and for this person to be held accountable. We are accomplishing both of those by requiring him to go through a diversion program and to pay restitution to all 6 victims.
Because after all, if we convict this guy of a felony and maybe even imprison him, he won't be able to keep his job to pay these people back at all. And then with his new life of poverty, he'll be forced to vandalize again.
If they go through the traditional system and they have a felony conviction on their record, they are much more likely to come back and commit a new crime. That is because a felony conviction destabilizes their lives. They may lose their job, lose their housing, and it can just lead to future criminal activity.
Well, is he not going to be fired either way? I thought the state upholds the highest ethical standards for its employees, not just the highest legal standard. He's on video abusing other people's property. Is the state employer just going to let that slide as long as there aren't criminal charges associated? Because that doesn't sound like the highest ethical standard. That sounds like the lowest. Regardless, if the point here is making sure he doesn't vandalize again, he won't be vandalizing again if you put him in prison, you know. Well, yeah, but that's the outdated attitude of the sort of person who actually wants people to have felony convictions.
Now, if there are people, there's some people who want people to have felony convictions. That's fine if that's what they want, but that is not about public safety.
Well, for felony crimes, yes, felony convictions are a good thing. And yes, they do create public safety by removing felons from the public. It's a fundamental philosophical question of justice. Is it enough just to pay the bill, or should there be some punitive component, some sort of punishment beyond just the financial value? Because this is not a case of accidental property damage, like a kid hits a baseball through your window. This is a guy routinely touring the city, intentionally damaging property in repetition, knowing exactly what he's doing and exactly why he's doing it. That is not an oops, let me pick up the bill situation. That is a sit down and think about what you've done situation. And maybe anybody else who might engage in this same behavior should see this guy's punishment and think hard before they try it too. So you want to warn the rest of us about our supposedly backward view of public safety. This decision is a green light and a white flag to those who would threaten it, and they will. But of course, we're all stupid, not just as a matter of the philosophy of justice, but we're all stupid because this is actually totally normal and we just haven't noticed it. You idiot. Don't you know that diversion for felony vandalism is what we always do?
We rely on diversion a lot in our office because we are very focused on public safety. This person did not have a record. For most property offenders without a record, they go to diversion.
Yeah, except it's not common. Like every other talking point here, that is completely untrue. The Hennepin County Attorney's Office diversion guidelines say the program is available to those committing property crimes under $5,000 in value. This guy committed over 4 times that number. And that's listed as a requirement for eligibility, not a general rule that might be occasionally bent. But maybe that's just an outdated website? Forgotten by state employees too busy concerning themselves with the highest standards of ethical behavior otherwise. Nope, This county attorney is prosecuting very similarly situated offenders for felonies right now. On Monday, the same day Mary Moriarty announced the decision not to charge Tesla Vandal guy, before she lectured us about how bad it is to want people to get felony convictions and how dangerous to public safety that is, her office charged a 19-year-old woman with no criminal record prior with first-degree felony property damage for keying her coworker's car at a White Castle. That damage was estimated to be about $7,000, a third of that of the Tesla Vandal. At the press conference, Moriarty asked, well, what am I supposed to do? Treat the Tesla guy differently just because it's a political case?
This is how we handle first-time low-level property cases. Should we have treated this gentleman differently because it's become a political issue?
But unless there's some explanation otherwise, she absolutely did treat this guy differently because this is a political case. The only difference between Tesla guy and White Castle girl is politics. He's connected to state government. She is not. He's connected to the Democrat Party. She is not. He's connected to the state employees union. She is not. The facts of the crime are the same. First-time offender, vandalism of the exact same form, car keying well in excess of the $1,000 threshold. The only variable is the capital D indifference for one of them. Not because I say so, but because this lady has explained no difference otherwise. But hey, everybody just calm down. The free gun locks down at the library are going to fix all of this very quickly. You got to give the historic lesbian wisdom just a little time to work its magic. So for now, just be thankful that the swastikas are only keyed into your car and not drawn in stray bullet holes instead. Although, if you drive around Minneapolis long enough, you'll probably get both. Thanks as always for listening and for supporting this channel. Always appreciate that thoughtful discussion down below and especially over on X. That is at ML Christiansen. You're always welcome to coming out and chatting my live streams as live on Wednesday and Sunday nights. Looking forward to it. Goodbye.
Hey, if you made it all the way to the end of the video, that means you probably found some value in the video. If you found some value in the video, please consider supporting my material. You can do that one time or recurring for as little as $1 a month. It not only helps me sustain, but it helps me pay the people who make my videos possible. Linked in the description for you, mattchristiansenmedia.com/support. Thanks for listening.